Paddy Cullivan, you meet many times here on The Last Word. Paddy is a guy who is nowhere near as busy at present as he should be because just think about it. This weekend, we're not going to our restaurants and bars. We're stuck in for the weekend, but we're not going to live performances either, and we're not going to weddings. Things which actually provide significant employment in the country. And those who actually are in the service business of providing live entertainment may not necessarily be sorted by the government supports that are available. Paddy, tell us a little bit about this, please.
Well, I mean, the wedding industry, Matt, makes it's worth about 2.3 billion euros in the country. It's an absolutely huge business. It accounts for about 25 to 30% of our bookings. Our main thing would be to do award ceremonies, corporate gigs, pubs, lots of different things, festivals. But effectively what's happened is the band and live music scene is completely on ice, completely on hold. And a lot of us are on the PUP alone. We keep hearing about these things called the CRSS, the COVID Restriction Support Scheme, the COVID Business Aid Scheme, but there's a weird quirk in those schemes that they will only support rateable premises, people that have rateable premises. It's a very 20th century way of looking at a business, as in a grocery that sells goods to people or a record shop or something like that. But of course, in the last few years, my business will be a mobile business full of moving parts. I work in 200 premises a year, so I can't avail of these business supports, which are up to $5,000 a week in some cases. So it's a quirk in the Department of Finance and in the help that they're giving, which isn't working. And then at the other end, Catherine Martin is doing a great job in terms of getting, arts grants out there and stuff like that. But again, it's a bit of a grushy, it's a bit of a divvy up, and certain people get it and certain people don't. So there's a large coterie of people out there, a lot of self-employed musicians, event companies, people who don't have rateable premises, who are absolutely facing penury at $350 a week with the PUP. It just isn't enough. We can't cover mortgages, car loans, debts, or anything like that.
Actually, Paddy, when you mention things like car loans, it does strike me that although you mightn't have a fixed premises on which you're paying rent and insurance, you still, to operate a mobile business, have to have a car or maybe a van. You have to pay insurance. You have to keep those going. And you might also have invested in all of the equipment that you bring from venue to venue, which might not yet be paid off. Then the banks have to be repaid for it.
Exactly. There's websites, domains, things that keep your business going, and all the time you spend at that. And now the problem is, when this all happened, okay, we got the mortgage breaks from Pascal, which was great. So we got 6 months ordered by the government. These are government-sanctioned mortgage breaks that the banks had to give to people, okay? The second time round up to September, about 37,000 people availed of it, which means that 37,000 people still couldn't pay their mortgages, okay? Now, we need that to come back. In Germany, some people have it until 2022. Why, when the crisis wasn't over at the end of September, did the relief on mortgages happen? So if we can't be eligible, these mobile businesses, for the COVID business aid schemes or anything like that, then we have to have the mortgage moratoriums brought back because we're not able to pay anything. You can't cover your mortgage and everything else on $350 a week. And the way it's going, we're looking at 150,000 vaccines in a month. That's 3 million vaccines in 20 months. We're not going to last that long. We're facing bankruptcy, Matt, and this is a real problem that I'd really love Pascal and Leo and Catherine Martin and all to sit down and figure out there is a coterie out there who are not covered by any of these relief schemes.
And then just on another level, Paddy, I mean, as somebody who enjoys making music and who enjoys performing, how much do you actually miss that as well on top of all the financial issues you're facing?
Well, we miss it, but I have to say a lot of people have talked about, missing it and the fact that music is a vocation and all of that. But I'd be lying to you if I told you I didn't get into music to make money as well.
Yeah.
We have plenty of examples of people out there who've made money. So this kind of, I don't mean to say it, but this kind of dreamy interpretation that's given by some people in the arts that, we do it for the love of it. That's not true. I had a very successful business. I paid a lot of suppliers with that business, and yet it's being treated as if it's nothing, that somehow it's kind of a court jester that has a meaningless thing, and go out there and survive on your wits, And unfortunately, we've been ordered by the government not to work. So whether or not I miss gigging or not, or how I feel, doesn't matter. We've been ordered by the government not to work, so the government has to take care of us. They have to step in and take care of us, Matt, because there is no end there is an end in sight, but it's 20 months, and we really have to be taken care of in this time. It's far worse than 2008. We managed to survive that. And decades-old businesses, I saw a guy yesterday, he's selling his guitar. He's actually eating the seed potatoes, as you might say. And we're all running on fumes, and we really need help here. And regardless of whether I miss it, I do miss it, of course, performing. But that's not the only reason I got into music. Look at Rod Stewart. He's a multimillionaire.
I fully understand what you're saying. In fact, you mentioned this whole thing as well about, the wedding industry being worth not far off $3 billion a year. But many of the venues and things like that are getting state supports as such, and maybe people who worked in those venues, among waiting staff or hoteliers, whatever, they get it as well. But then you're in this cohort, and there are others in it as well, who provide the sort of the freelance moving from place to place to finish off the product, and you're the ones who are losing out.
Well, exactly. I mean, even Duffy Circus might turn around to the government and they would say, "Oh, you don't get anything because you're a movable premises," and yet they're a business that's on everybody's lips that we all know and who do very well. So it's this kind of thing, and I'm not trying to pit people against each other. Do you know what I mean? There are
I understand that,
and there have been fantastic venues have actually come in and like Vicar Street, for instance, have come in and got a bunch of people in to do work for them and paid out, and that's magnificent. But unfortunately, it has to work in a kind of a catch-all way. It can't be a divvy up, where a few of the usual suspects get a grant here and there and the rest are left to fend for themselves, because we're not in a situation where you can go out then and make up that money playing regular gigs, because there's literally zero business whatsoever. So what I'm really asking for is for just a kind of a catch-all thing to treat movable businesses and businesses of moving parts the same as you would a rateable premises, because it's too old-fashioned a concept.
All right, look, I'm going to leave it there. Paddy Cullivan, hopefully something will be done by government taking into account the plea that you're making on behalf of very many people. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again soon. We'll be back with the business news with Ian Guider straight after this.